Hi, it's Peg and Des on
Mistresses.
So this is the penultimate episode, right before the finale. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of foolishness as usual on Mistresses. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys to please subscribe to our channel and rate our video.
Absolutely, and catch the other videos on our YouTube channel.
Okay, so let's start out with Karen.
Oh Lord.
Karen's character, I think, is writing the show as well as being on the show, because the way that the case that Karen has been involved in all season was dealt with is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen on a television show. It was the most
anticlimactic, unnecessary conclusions to a storyline within a series that I've seen in a long time. This entire season, it has been an investigation and suing and capers and, you know, just, it's been one issue after another. The judge opens and says, I don't even see why we're here today. Who needs to discuss a murder trial?
Right.
Go home.
Right.
It's like, what in the world is going on? Karen's case is effectively dismissed.
Dismissed?
Easily.
She's off the hook, just like that.
And no one is left to prosecute. I mean, there's nobody else left in line to figure out who killed this man. It was the most ridiculous conclusion ever.
And as you mentioned, Dom's reaction is like, oh well, next.
Right, Dom came out of the courtroom, called Savvy, and was like, I guess what we lost. And Savvy's like, oh. This is so stupid. This is so stupid.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. However, we see that Karen's not completely off the hook, actually.
Oh no.
She's been called in by the licensing board. And can I just say, not a moment too soon. Karen should not have a license to practice anything.
Right.
She should have a license to drive.
The man from the licensing board looked her dead in the face, very much like her attorney did, and was like, is there anything you feel in the mood to deny? And Karen said effectively no. I mean, pretty much it is what it is. And he said, all right then. Well, I'm just going to have to hit you with this 6-month suspension.
Yes.
And that's when she hits us with, oh no. She had no idea that the suspension was coming. And she thinks that it's Sam's mother that called the licensing board regarding her.
Right.
However, we learn that it is her own partner that called the board in. And he even tells her, he comes to her and he's like, listen, I just want to let you know, I called the board on you. And why did you do that? He tells her, it's one thing for you to aid in the death of someone, Dr. Kevorkian, but it's another thing for you to give them some vagina. I was thinking to myself, sir, are you serious right now?
I thought he was in love with her. Wasn't that what the theory the lawyer was floating last episode? Which, by the way, has never been floated this entire show. I mean,
not a word of it has ever been mentioned.
I think he might have asked her to dinner once, but you didn't get the sense he was in love.
Right, but my problem with him is that you came in that space with the rationale like, I didn't mind when you were killing patients. I just have a problem when you're sexing them. Therefore, I called the board. And by the way, when your 6 months is up, you can't come back here.
Yes, we saw her packing her little boxes.
She is done. Practice over. So that's it for Karen. I'm not sure what her season finale is going to look like, because it seemed like the nail was in the coffin for her today. She
needs a job. That's what it's going to be, her interviewing.
That's right. Karen the unemployment line, season finale.
Right. So let's move on to April and April's crisis with her daughter missing.
Right.
We find out that the daughter's been found miraculously.
Right.
How old is this kid? Like 10?
Lucy's either 10 or 11.
What is a 10 or 11-year-old doing taking a bus to Santa Monica to see a Disney concert?
First of all, this is not the first time that Lucy has exhibited these kinds of runaway truant behaviors. Because if you recall, earlier this season, April had to go to the school and pick her up over some other kind of foolishness where she and some little girl were trying to go to a bookstore to see another Disney star.
My mother would have murdered me if I even thought about doing anything like that, especially at 10 or 11, however old she is.
It's one of those things where you're happy to be found, but you wish you could be lost again. Because once my mom learned that I was okay and that everything was all right in my world, she would have very much disrupted my world.
There would have been no hugs and the police saying, as you can see, she's all shaken up. My parents would have been like, I'm gonna shake her up. Don't you worry about that.
Exactly. But Lucy, April, by the way, has used the assistance of Dondre Whitfield in locating her daughter. So this kind of brings the two of them close together, and they're co-parenting, you know, live in full effect. And Dondre Whitfield suggests to April, maybe Lucy needs to go to counseling, which April feels like is the best advice she's ever received. Bringing Dondre Whitfield back into the April fold.
So Richard's nowhere to be found in this episode, except at the very end when he runs up into April's house talking about his cell phone. He's completely unaware that she's had a major crisis while his cell phone was in the toilet.
But once again, demonstrating that these two human beings have the least amount of chemistry available between two people. She opens the front door. My man doesn't even say, hey babe, how you doing? Peck on the cheek. He comes barreling through the house. My cell phone was in the toilet and I put it in a bowl of rice. You won't even believe what happened. And then she looks and she's like, we lost Lucy today. And I'm like, this is terrible. You two just stop speaking to each other.
Yes. I mean, the actor is a terrible actor to begin with.
Yes.
He looks crazy every time he's talking to April. His eyes are doing weird, like, things, bugging out. Zero chemistry. I see he's basically driving her into Dondre Whitfield's arms at this point.
Well, which she lands very nicely, as we see.
I know, he kissed her.
He absolutely, and she kissed him back, and he asked to come back home. He said he wants his family back, which begs the question: where's Miranda and the mulatto baby?
Back in Florida.
What are we gonna do about that family?
No.
Wait, like Dondre Whitfield stays abandoning a family. So anyways, Dondre, we're over you.
Right.
Joss and the Frenchman, Olivier.
Yes. So we see, you know, there's another encounter with those two. They sex it up once again.
Yes.
And it leads to a breakup with Alex, or as you like to refer to her,
the Bed Bath & Beyond lesbian, otherwise known as BBB.
First of all, the way that woman, they dressed that girl on the show, she's about the least sexy lesbian I've ever seen in my life.
So I said she looked like she belongs in a Bed Bath & Beyond. She looks like she should be tiling my floors.
She looks terrible. I mean, she's always wearing these long skirts and these long tops.
But they're layered. They are layered.
Meanwhile, Joss is wearing these, you know, little tight dresses. I'm like, do these girls even live in the same climate? Like, what is going on?
It's ridiculous. It just goes to show how ridiculous that relationship is, because even if Joss were exploring women, I'd like to believe that she would explore an attractive woman, or at least one who presented herself in an attractive fashion. Yes. This girl is dressed like a sister wife.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Olivier tells Joss, I'm going back to France.
I'm going back to France in 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. And Joss is hurt over this. I feel like Joss says, well, why did you even bother to sleep with me? Joss, peep game. He wasn't beat to even know your name for the first several weeks or months of your employment there. Gave you a hard time, and that was not sexual tension happening between the two of you.
No.
He just seemed like he didn't like you at all.
Right.
All of a sudden, on some given day, when he finds out that you're in a relationship with a woman, he's interested in getting things popping with you. It's like, oh, we now need to do these late open houses, and we need to take clients to sexy locations, and get in my DeLorean, and let's have sex. And you fell for it hook, line, and sinker, and now he's out. And I think he was just trying to break her.
I mean, I saw her point. I was like, look, if you were going to leave in 2 days, just leave me alone. Just go back to France. Leave me alone.
No, you can't leave any vagina unturned. If I'm going to get out here and get me some, I'm going to get it the way I want to get it, and I felt like Josh should have known better.
I think Josh was looking for a way out of that horrible little relationship she started. That for someone that she just wanted to be their friend. She basically said, I just really wanted to continue hanging out.
Right.
And you wouldn't let me, so I gave you some vagina so that you could take me, hang out with me. Which was, again, poor judgment, once again, from one of these Mistresses girls.
Well, speaking of poor judgment, Joss goes to Harry's bar, takes 97 shots, somehow manages to get into a situation with a man who tries to rape her. Harry comes in, dun-da-da-da, saves the day, and we see Joss and Harry back at Joss's place, and he takes the results from Joss's bedside drawer, because remember, Savvy gave Joss the paternity results. Harry does not open them, he just has them.
So I know that there was a scene where earlier in the episode where Harry came to Joss's house talking about, I need a hoodie, and it's really just an excuse for Joss to reveal that the touch results are in. But I still think Joss and Harry should hook up. Please, I see so much chemistry between those two, even in their little moments.
That is not going to happen, as much as I would like to as well.
I know.
We're actually in agreement on that, but I was hoping that something like that scandalous could happen this season, but it's not going to happen.
Well, I have to say, Team Harry's looking better and better with Savvy, because Savvy and Dom went on a real date. Savvy was like, what's holding me back? I've always had feelings for Dom. Let's do this.
Right.
And they go on a real date, and it's pretty lackluster.
I didn't think that the date was lackluster. I think that the two of them seemed like they had a good time. It's just that she didn't seem like she was ready for the physical part when he kissed her at the end. And she said that we can go on a second date. It's
more than that, because we saw her bail out Harry in his poor judgment with the restaurant and serving lamb. The lamb is breaking him. It is sending him to the poorhouse. And the restaurant needs 25 grand, and she decides to come in and save the day.
Right, but she's also an investor in the restaurant, and it's not to say that she doesn't love Harry. I just feel like I don't get the sense that just because she saved that restaurant, it means that she is invested in making things work with Harry.
I do. I think that's exactly what it was, because earlier in the episode, she was like, look, I don't care. That's Harry's problem. I can't be bothered. We're not together. We're done. I can't be bothered. But, she goes on that date with Dom. She's not ready really to get with him. And I think because Harry's still in there. Team Harry. Come on.
Harry is whack. And that's all I have to say about that. We're done. So next week is the season finale.
Finally.
So catch us next week for the season finale. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and catch our other videos on our channal.
All right, everyone. Bye.
Bye.